Well, good evening, everybody. Today I'm going to have some wine, and I love these bottles with these screw-on caps. I do not need to use my bottle opener for this one. Okay, now I think a big problem in relationships today is that we don't need each other anymore. Not in the way of like, oh, I need you, I'm nothing without you, I'm lost without you, like those whiny country songs that are like toxic love gone awry. I'm talking about needing each other to go through daily life because throughout history we needed each other. Like men worked in the factory or they worked on the farms, and the women did the cooking and they carried the water and they took care of the children, and the women hung out together and did crafts and sold them in the market. Women were always working. They were working more around with other women, had the children nearby. And then in our industrial age, everything changed. Now children have to sit in the classroom like they're in a factory. That is so unhealthy. There are these Waldorf schools and outdoor schools where the children are just outdoors all day. That's just so much more natural, especially for young children. But now when the men started working and then the women stayed home, the women were still able to be with the children and take care of the home, which I think naturally women like to do. I think in most relationships, it is the woman who's like decorating the home and buying the food and, inviting the friends and doing the Christmas cards and the decorating. A lot of women like that. They like to nurture the relationship and take care of their guy. I mean, I like doing all that. And women generally like really good sex. Every woman I know loves good sex, but she would rather have no sex than bad sex. Whereas men will take sex no matter how good or bad it is. So I think that having different roles, that whole thing has kind of gone away since women have been all working full time. It could also contribute to the lowering of wages because we've doubled the employment pool, and more women than men are now going to college. Women do not want a man who's less intelligent and less educated. We just don't. I can't explain to you why, but that's just it. And that's another problem. Men have dumped themselves down in relation to women, not you guys, but many men, because more women than men are now graduating from college. And men are very independent now. They don't need us like they used to. You men who watch the videos, I read your comments. You guys are like, I got this, I don't need a woman. I make my own money. I have my own house. I have my friends, my hobbies. I know how to cook. I know how to clean. I can get a little bit of ass on the side here and there when I want it. Some of you don't even want that anymore. So you don't need a woman. And women are saying the same thing. They're like, well, I cook and clean. I make my own money. I have my own career. Why do I need a man? And that's the problem. I think that is a problem. This independence, emotional independence is really good. The fact that we can take care of ourselves is very good. But not needing each other is leading to a decline in relationships. Not needing each other is actually not a good thing. Is not a good thing. I think needing each other is a good thing. Being able to rely on each other is a good thing. When I was married, we did need each other. I was married, I got married back in the 80s when things were very different. This was before MGTOW. I never heard of MGTOW. This was before men shaved their pubic hair. This was way before porn. Back then you had to go to an adult bookstore to buy a DVD, VHS tape. And women who had careers generally would stay home with their children while the children were young. And now few women can do that, which is very heartbreaking when they have to go back to work right away and drop their infant who they're very attached to off at a daycare center. Have you ever seen animals, how they The young ones go, mammals, the young ones go around the mama cat or the mama bear or the dogs and the litter and they nurse on the mom. Can you imagine taking those uh, little ones away from their mom, a real mom or an animal mom? It's pretty barbaric actually, you know. Our society doesn't value motherhood at all. Women in Europe are treated much better. Families in Europe are treated much better and valued much more. So, anyway, I I always knew I wanted to marry a man who could provide for me while I stayed home with my kids, and a lot of women can't have that anymore. So they're like, I don't really want to do it. I don't really want to have kids. If I have to work full time and drop my baby off at a daycare center, like that's just cruel. So they don't feel that same desire to be moms because, you know, when we're pregnant, we're kind of helpless. When we're, you know, women can die during childbirth. And you need a lot of support when you're nursing, you have little babies, and then when you're expected to also go into an office, that's another thing. A long time ago, women have always worked, okay, but we worked in places where we could be outside and moving our bodies. We had our children with us. We were like gathering berries and food with our children running alongside us or sitting in circles with other women, doing crafts, selling them in the market. And then men were always doing like more the adventurous and the physical things and later working in the factory. And then women kind of stayed home, which I will say is isolating to just stay home all day. But they stayed home and did all the housework and the child work, and people had different roles. People always had different roles until recently. It's only been in the last maybe 20 or 30 years that people have been identical in their roles. They're both expected to work full time, um, be totally the same, like we're the same. We don't have different roles anymore. And I think that's a problem. I do think that is the reason that people don't really want to get married anymore. They don't respect each other's roles. They don't need each other anymore. Other factors are uh, when I was married, my ex-husband knew how to fix cars. He could change the oil. He would change the oil to save money, change the brake pads, do a bunch of other things on cars. Well, that's harder to do now because so many of the cars it's all like computerized, you know, it's just harder to do all that. He also did a lot of house projects, mowing the lawn, doing house repairs, house projects. Well, that's harder to do now too when the cost of housing is out of reach for so many people. You can't do yard work, you can't plant trees, you can't do construction projects on the house, redo a stairway or whatever. So people miss out on that when they're just living in an apartment. Back then, um, men who men could support a family, women could be with their children, and that's not possible anymore. So I think that a lot of people feel like, well, I don't need you, so why do I want you? How are you gonna add to my life? And when people need each other, it's very obvious what they add to each other's lives. Like he's the breadwinner, and he does the house projects, and I work part-time, and I take care of the kids, and I take care of the house, and the ironing, and the cleaning, and the cooking, and we need each other, and we appreciate each other's roles, and that's a good thing, and losing that is a bad thing. That's what I really, really think. Um, some of these modern marriages do work out, but I also think for marriages to work out that people need a little bit of emotional tension, like what Dr. Robert Glover calls emotional tension. You can't give a woman everything she wants. You have to give her what she needs. There has to be like some distance in the relationship, some independence, I think, if you want to keep the sexual spark there. If you don't care about sex, you don't need any of that. You can just be best friends. But I'm curious about people who are best friends, if they can maintain sexual desire. I would rather be married to a guy who's not my best friend and have a hot sex life than have a guy who's my best friend and have no libido for him. because familiarity and comfort and security are the opposite of passion and novelty. I mean, certainly you can have security. Okay, so when I was married, I felt very secure in my marriage. I knew my ex-husband came home after work, but he had his own interests and he spent a lot of time doing his own stuff, like the house project or playing adult sports, like whether it was soccer or basketball, and he stayed pretty fit and he was excited to go do his own stuff like that, and it kept me interested in him. Nowadays, you've got both people working from home and both making the same, working and making money. And I'm like, I do not see where there's a spark for libido to happen or desire to happen or why I need you. Like, it's just messed up. This is what I think. This is what I think is the core problem of why people have kind of checked out. And I think that some men have gotten really lazy. I made a video today on my members only channel. You might want to go to the description of my YouTube to see. Once you subscribe to my channel, you can see the join button. But I gave this example of these two guys at the gym, one who was a huge added to my life and one who was a liability. So I'm like, wow, this guy at the gym, he really added to my life, the stuff that he said and did. I'm like, wow, it's been a long time since a man just added to my life that I didn't even know in real life. Guys who slide into my DMs, like, no, you're not adding anything. You're taking. Adding to my life means you're adding to my life face to face. You're contributing something face to face, But anyway, I think it would be helpful for people to start adding to each other's lives face to face. That's another thing we used to do. Like when I was a young wife in the 80s, we would talk to the neighbors. When I baked bread, I would give some bread, bake a couple extra loaves to give to the neighbors. When I baked cookies, I would save some cookies to take to my massage therapist or to give to the neighbors. And it's like, what can I do for a neighbor? Doing a little bit of community service. And I live in Southern California. It's very liberal. People are very flaky. And I get, because of my bookkeeper job and just working with the public, there's so many people who are just disrespectful or unintentional or flaky. And I think what we really need, besides needing each other, is to approach other people with respect for their time, to be respectful to them, to see how can I add to their life? What can I add to your life? It's kind of like the guy left a comment for me recently, like, what do you bring to the table? And I had to laugh. That's, but in case he was serious, that's just like a taking, like, what will you do for me? What can I get from you? What are you going to do for me? Whereas people who are really going to be good at relationships, they just like people and they just naturally add to people's lives. They naturally call people, they organize get-togethers, they naturally try to do something for you, something friendly, they say hi. When I think about the people who call me, these are people who are more like relationship people. Some people just want to be left alone, and that's fine too. But I just think it's good to remember to be respectful, to approach people of like, well, what can I do for you? Is there something I could say to you? Say something to the cashier, even like, how's your day going? Or compliment someone on their outfit. I was at Home Depot the other day, and this young man at the register was talking to everyone who went by. Like the guy in front of me at the line smiled as he walked away. Then I walked up, and the cashier's asking me, oh, that's a really great outfit you have. It's all white. How do you keep it so clean or whatever? That's a really great outfit. And he was just friendly and he was adding to people's lives, So that's just an example. So in summary, what this video is about is that I think the reason that people are saying I don't need a relationship is because, number one, we have our society structure in a way that we don't need each other anymore because we've made our roles interchangeable. And number two, that people have become so selfish, so independent. They're like, what can you do for me? Rather than, how can I add to the world today? You know, how can I shine my light upon everyone? Kind of an attitude. And also, this whole thing of working from home has given people fewer opportunities for social interaction. The whole thing of shaming masculinity, which is so much bullshit, has made men feel ashamed of being men. That's why I think I like those Republican men better. They're like, yeah, I have a beard, I have a gun, I'm a man. Whereas these liberal Californians, they're like, I'll wear my little mask. Don't get mad at me. I'll be a good boy and wear my mask and get my little shots. So wimpy. I cannot even. I'm more of a man than some of these men. So, um, but I'm curious what you think, and I will be back for the comments.